If you walked outside right now and met another kind of human, not a chimp, not a monkey, another person, built differently, speaking a language you don't know, would you be afraid? Right now, on this planet, there is exactly one kind of human. That has never been true before. Not once, not in 2 million years. For almost the entire history of our genus, multiple kinds of human walked this earth at the same time. Different faces, different bodies. Some smarter than you in ways you can't imagine. And every single one of them is gone. We didn't inherit an empty world. We took over a crowded one. And almost everything you were told about why they disappeared is wrong. This is not a story about conquest. It is not a story about superiority. It is the story of our lost brothers and sisters. Who they were, what they faced, and the one tiny, quiet difference that let us hold on when they could not. And by the end, you will realize they never truly left. They are still here, in your blood, your body, and your story. Let's start with the hardest truth most people never hear. At least 5 confirmed human species were alive at the same time as us. Not our ancestors, our neighbors. Count a few more disputed candidates that scientists are still arguing over, and some researchers push that number as high as 9. In Europe and Western Asia, the Neanderthals. In Siberia and East Asia, the Denisovans. In Indonesia, the 3.5-foot tall Hobbits. In the Philippines, Homo Luzonensis, a species we only discovered in 2019. In South Africa, Homo Naledi, alive as recently as 250,000 years ago. 5 confirmed branches on the family tree. Maybe 4 more once the disputed ones get sorted out. And one by one, every single branch got cut. Except ours. So here's the question that should keep you up tonight. What did we have that they didn't? Let's start with the one you already know, and the one everyone gets wrong. Forget the stupid caveman stereotype. It is wrong on every count. Neanderthals stood 5'6" on average and were built like powerlifters. Denser bones, thicker muscle, stronger than any human alive today. Their brains measured larger than yours on average by volume. They survived 300,000 years of ice ages that would kill you in a week. They treated serious injuries, used plant-based painkillers, and some researchers argue they buried their dead with flowers. They made jewelry from eagle talons. A few scientists have even proposed cave paintings in Spain dated to 65,000 years, before we ever set foot there. Though that claim is still fiercely disputed in the field. They ruled Europe for 300,000 years. We've been around for roughly the same amount of time total as a species. They had a head start most people can't comprehend. And they still lost. Move east, the Denisovans. We don't even have a full skeleton, just a finger bone, a few teeth, and a jawbone found in a Siberian cave. And from those fragments, scientists pulled an entire hidden species out of the dirt using DNA alone. Think about that. We know this species existed not because we found their faces, but because we found their genes still alive inside other people. They lived across Siberia and Asia for at least 200,000 years. Some evidence suggests they reached high-altitude Tibet and adapted to thin air long before modern humans figured out how to survive up there. We don't have their skulls. We don't know their faces. We know they were real because millions of people walking around today are still carrying pieces of them. Move south to Indonesia. The Hobbits, Homo Floresiensis. 3.5 feet tall, small brain, sharp tools. They hunted giant rats and pygmy elephants on an island corrupted with Komodo dragons. And somehow, nobody knows how, their ancestors crossed hundreds of kilometers of open ocean to get there with Stone Age technology, before boats, as we understand them, even existed. They held that island for possibly 100,000 years. Then the Philippines. Homo Luzonensis, a species science didn't even know existed until 2019. Small, strange, isolated. Proof that we are still finding lost branches of our own family right now in your lifetime. And in South Africa, Homo Naledi, a brain barely bigger than a chimpanzee's, buried deep in cave systems, almost impossible to reach without crawling through passages barely wide enough for a human body. Researchers found their remains stacked deep inside this cave system, in a way that looks disturbingly like deliberate burial. If that holds up under further study, it means a species we assumed was primitive, with a brain a third the size of ours, may have understood something about death that we assumed only advanced humans could grasp. And the dates are the part that should really unsettle you. Homo Naledi may have still been alive as recently as 250,000 years ago. That's not some ancient chapter closed long before we existed. That's the same window where our own species was already walking the Earth. Starting around 50,000 years ago, they started disappearing. Fast. 40,000 years ago, Neanderthals. Gone. 15,000 years ago, the Hobbits and the Denisovans. Gone. One after another, like lights switching off across a map. And you've probably heard the reason. We showed up. We were smarter. We killed them. We conquered the world. It's the version everyone tells. It's also mostly wrong. Here's what the fossil record actually shows. Almost no mass graves. No battlefields stacked with skeletons. No smoking gun for a species-wide war. What we find instead is quieter and, honestly, harder to face. Layers of dirt where their tools just stop appearing. Camps that were abandoned and never used again. Bones with no wounds at all, just signs of hunger, cold, and old age. Some violence happened, that's real. But it wasn't the main event. It wasn't what actually erased them. The real killer was the planet itself. Over the last 100,000 years, Earth's climate didn't just shift. It slammed back and forth like a switch being flipped. Warm centuries collapsed into deep freezes within a single human lifetime. Grasslands turned to ice sheets. Food that had fed a group for generations vanished in a decade. Now picture this. A Neanderthal band was typically 10 to 20 people. That's it. That's the whole group. Hunters, elders, children, everyone. If a bad winter killed 3 hunters, that band was crippled. If disease took the children, there was no replacing them. There was no neighboring group to send help. There was no backup plan. They were also boxed in, trapped in valleys, peninsulas and mountain ranges that cut them off from anywhere better. When their world turned hostile, they had nowhere left to go. We had somewhere to go. That bought us time, but it isn't the real answer. Keep that in mind, because it's about to matter. By the time the ice came for good, we were already everywhere. Deserts, coastlines, rainforests, high mountains. When one region turned hostile, we didn't dig in and wait to die. We walked. We had already proven we could survive almost anywhere on the planet. And as their numbers shrank and ours grew, we didn't just erase them and move in. We met them, lived beside them. In some cases, we joined them. If your ancestry traces back to Europe, Asia, or the Americas, you are carrying somewhere between 1 and 4% Neanderthal DNA right now in every cell of your body. If your ancestry traces to Melanesia, Australia, or parts of East Asia, you're carrying Denisovan DNA too. We didn't replace them, we absorbed them. So what was the real advantage? Because it wasn't brain size. Neanderthals had us beat there. It wasn't strength, not even close. It wasn't tools. For most of history, ours weren't meaningfully better. It was this. We didn't stay isolated. Neanderthal groups appear to have stayed local, small, tight, loyal to their own band and cut off from everyone else. Their trade networks, where they existed at all, barely stretched beyond their own territory. When disaster hit one group, it hit them alone. We built something different. We traded materials like obsidian and shells across distances of 500 kilometers or more. We shared food, fire, and warnings with people outside our own group. People we'd never even met. A stranger wasn't automatically a threat. The stranger could be a lifeline. When the climate turned on us too, and it did, over and over, we weren't isolated islands waiting to sink. We were a network. If one group collapsed, others absorbed the survivors. If one region failed, another region had room. That is the real answer. Not the strongest, not the smartest. The ones who figured out how to depend on each other.
And here's the twist most people never sit with. They're not actually gone. Every time your body reacts to cold weather by conserving heat more efficiently, that's Neanderthal DNA still doing its job. Parts of your immune system, the way certain infections trigger a response in your body, some of that traces back to genes inherited from them. Some studies even link Neanderthal-derived genes to things like skin tone, hair, and how your blood clots. You are not just Homo sapiens. You are a genetic survivor of a struggle none of us remember fully, carrying pieces of at least one other human species inside you right now. 5 confirmed human species, possibly 9. All gone except one. And the one thing that saved us wasn't in our skulls, it was in how we treated strangers. So next time you help somebody you've never met, you're doing the exact thing that kept your entire species alive for the last 50,000 years. If you want the raw, unfiltered truth about who we used to share this planet with, hit subscribe. This is only the beginning.